y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. Y'all, I am super excited. So in today's episode, we are discussing how we need to stay focused and learn how to filter distractions. I am super excited at this one, y'all. I hope that you enjoyed this episode here at the Filling Station.
Welcome to the Filling Station. Ooh, ooh. Let's talk about it. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, ooh. We're gonna refresh, refuel, inspire, motivation with the Filling Station. Ooh, with Miss Dee Dee.
So, y'all, have you ever found yourself at a place to where you wonder, what in the world is going on with me? Why, where am I? Why am I here? What's going on? Why am I at this place? And, you were on a smooth road. Everything was going good. And then all of a sudden you find yourself at I don't know what's going on in my life. And have you go back and just examine your life and just thinking back over the past year or so in my life, I got to a place to where I just did not understand where I was or, what was going on. And I'm like, okay, what's wrong with me? And the Bible the Bible says to let a man examine himself. I couldn't blame other people for the things that, what I was experiencing at the time and, how I responded and how I said what I said and did what I did. And, it was me. I just knew that something was different with me because of how I responded to a lot of situations or how I responded to a lot of circumstances, which gave me, a red flag for myself that something just wasn't right. Have you ever just had that feeling like something within me, something within me is not right. I am different. I am responding different. And I just felt at the time that I wasn't focused. I was going to church and I was spending time with the Lord, but for some reason, I just felt like I was thrown off. What in the world has me so thrown off? You ever felt like, maybe I took the wrong turn. Maybe I didn't hear the Lord. Maybe I did this when I was supposed to do this. And then you're at this place and you wonder, did I miss it? Did I miss God? Did I miss something? Not really. At the time, you're not really thinking that everything has reason. There's a reason for everything, that everything has purpose. And, sometimes God does what he does to get our attention. And, I always say that bump in the road, sometimes it's to help you for what's to come, and we look at it as, I just messed my tire up because I hit this bump in the road, but you never know what was ahead of you that could have, prevented hurt, harm, or danger to you, and not just you, but the other people that you're affiliated with. Let's say that. So the bump in the road doesn't necessarily mean that it's just for you. And that's the thing that, I think God had to bring me back around on, even though I felt like I was off focus or just out of focus and so totally thrown off, he had me at a place to where really he had my attention. Because one, I didn't understand why I was where I was. And two, I needed to seek the Lord to figure out why I was where I was, right? You have to seek the Lord and get your instructions. And I say that often. I needed to seek the Lord to get my instructions, right? And sometimes as ministers or leaders or preachers, prophets, evangelists, we give and give and give so much, and we pour out so much, and we do so much for other people, and it's so easy for us to neglect ourselves, right? It's so easy for us to put ourselves on a back burner and focus on people, because I always say that true servants, they serve, right? We want to make sure that everybody else is good, but what happens when your cup is almost empty? Or what happens when I say that you're using your reserve tank, right? What happens when your fuel is running a little bit low and you don't realize that? And by the time you realize it, your response is so different. How you treat other people, how you respond to situations, things are just different. All because you didn't pay attention to the signs, right? Because I always say in life, we have signs, we have signals, we have all of the above, but many times, y'all, we fail to look at those things. We fail to pay attention to, wow, I saw this. I remember when this happened, But we disregard all of that because of so much that's going on and so many things that's going on around us and so many, trying to help this and trying to do this and wearing so many hats. And yeah, I get it. We all wear so many different hats. But what happens when you don't see the signs that you're running out of gas? You're running on fumes. Your tank is running empty. Your cup is running empty. And then you start acting different and responding different. And you have to go back and say, okay, God, what in the world is wrong with me? Because that's what, yes, I had to go back and say, okay, God, what's wrong with me? Why am I where I am? What do I need to do? Right? So God took me to the example that he gave me is so simple, y'all. Y'all ever had one of those aha moments or those light bulb moments? Because this is one of those times that when I read it, it just gave me a totally different revelation, a totally different understanding, right? So God took me back to the example of Peter when Peter was walking on the water. Yes, and y'all, we just took a cruise. Let me say that. And when I tell you, I can understand how Peter got distracted because I'm sitting there looking and all you see is water. I'm talking about no grass, no trees, dirt, land, people, nothing but the deep blue sea. All you see is the waves. And let me tell you, sometimes the waves were really choppy and you could see the water just bouncing and moving and shifting. So if I'm on a big ship, can you imagine how back in the day when Peter was on a smaller vessel, a smaller boat, I can honestly say I see how Peter got distracted. So in Matthew, it tells us, I think it's in chapter 14, it tells us how God told Peter to come out, walk on the water, right? This is my summation of it. This is my example of it, right? And so Peter got out of the boat. He began to walk on the water, but as soon as he took his eye off the source, as soon as he took his eye off Jesus, as soon as he started paying attention to what was going on around him, when he saw the waves and when he saw the wind and he saw that these things were happening, he took his eye off the source and he began to sink, right? And that's what happens to us. When we take our eye off of Jesus, when we take our eye off of the source, we begin to pay attention and get so overwhelmed with, what's going on around us. Instead of staying focused, we get distracted because we see life. We see the things, we see the distractions, and it's easy to do that, y'all. And what's so amazing about this example, right? God is the ultimate power source. He is our strength. He is our provider. He is the great I am. He will be all that we allow him to be, even when we're not focused, right? The main thing is to go back and check, am I connected to the source? I say this not to be in a bragging way, but I used to spend hours a day in prayer. And I understand that I am an intercessor and I understand that, I accept that, right? But I got so distracted with life and helping and doing and learning and trying and all of this good stuff, right? To where it took me away from spending the hours in prayer as I did before, to where I still prayed, but I didn't seek the Lord as I did before. And because of that, I allowed life, I allowed distractions, I allowed those things to hinder me, which those were spending time with God and spending time in prayer was the very thing that gave me fuel. It gave me energy. It gives me motivation. It keeps me going. It keeps me focused, right? So when I stopped doing those things, I got distracted. I get distracted. Let me say that. So I had to go back and examine me. Okay, what have I been placing before prayer? What have I been putting in the place of my time with the Lord? What have I allowed to take place before God? Because if we do those things, that becomes an idol. That becomes, worshiping something else. What am I putting before the Lord? And that's something that I had to think about, right? What has gotten me so thrown off and so distracted where it's causing me to not put God first, right? The Bible tells us in Matthew to seek him first, right? So what did I do or what did I allow to cause me to not focus on the Lord and to get so distracted with life and the things that was going on around me because I didn't make time for God? I start making time for other things. I start putting other things as important things and really wasn't important things. What was important was my time with God. When I seek him, everything else will follow. And I start allowing those things and it distracted me. It threw me off. That's why I was so thrown off and I didn't understand. Why am I so unfocused? Why can't I see clearly? Why can't I hear clearly? That's something right there. Why can't I hear clearly what is going on with me? Right? And back at Peter, when he lost focus because he started paying attention to the things that was going on around him. And when the storm had always been there, right? The storm was there. And when he began to focus on the storm, and that's when he lost his balance. That's when he lost the steadiness. That's when he started sinking. That's when he took his eye off Jesus. That's when things went down. And I must say, y'all, as soon as we take our eye off Jesus, I'm telling you, we start seeing the world. We start seeing what's going on around us. We start feeling the weight of the world, the issues, the circumstances, the problems, the things. Yeah, those things. But the moment that we're in that place of I'm seeking the Lord, none of that matters. And I say that all the time. When I'm spending time with God, nothing else matters. And I think that is what has helped me along my journey, is because I stay so in tune with God. I have that one-on-one relationship with him to where when things happen, it really just don't bother me or have that type of effect. And why is it affecting me now? And that was my red flag. That was my sign. I need to go back and fix me. You know, I couldn't blame other people for what I did and what I allowed. I needed to go back, and in my book, I say this all the time. You know, a mirror only reflects what you perceive. You know, a mirror only reflects what you perceive, right? So I needed to go back and examine myself. I needed to go back and get myself in line, get myself in. Lord, I need some help with this. Help me to get back on track. At least, you know, help me to get back in line. Let me put away these things that, you know, I've been placing before you. I had to first ask for forgiveness because I knew it was wrong. God, forgive me for not spending time with you. Forgive me for not, you know, for placing this before you. And how many times have we placed things before God? Is it causing you to lose your focus? Is it causing you to be unbalanced? You know, when we take our eyes off the source, God is our source. When we take our eyes off the source, you know, we lose that strength. Sometimes we lose faith if we're not careful, right? You know, so in the car one day I was praying, and I was praying for my dad because he was having these health issues. And y'all, I had another aha moment, one of those light bulb moments, right? So it's like the Lord, I heard him so clearly say, you've got to pray for your dad as if you were praying for somebody else. And you would already think that I would know that, right? You know, I mean, I know that I need to pray for him as if I was praying for somebody else, but to hear it the way that I heard it, it's like okay, God, you know, I pray for him like I would pray for somebody else, but I got just quickly, I got distracted at his symptoms and how he was feeling and the things that was going on around him versus staying on the source, staying with the word, speaking the word of God, praying the word of God, believing the word of God. And y'all, it's so easy to get distracted. It is so easy to get thrown off. It's so easy to get unfocused or not focused. It's so easy to not see clearly. You know, it's easy to pay attention to the things that's going on around you instead of where is my faith in this situation? Where is my faith leading me in this situation? Do you have faith in this situation? That's something to think about. So y'all, for the last focus, that's what, yes, focus. I needed to get my focus back. I needed to go back and readjust the lenses, right? I needed to get my eyes focused. My heart needed to be focused. My ears need to be focused. I needed to be, you know, in right standing with the Lord. I needed to be in position, right? I needed to be in position to hear from the Lord. And I am so grateful that God allowed this place of what in the world what's wrong with me? He allowed that place of what's wrong with me for me to go and seek him. And I mean, spend time with him in prayer, spend time with him in his word, do a lot of soul searching and working on me and not trying to fix everybody else. That's one of them. Dee Dee, you need to work on you. You need to get you together because I'm not effective to anybody else. I'm not effective to the kingdom if I don't work within me, right? Huh? That's something to think about, y'all. So yeah, and this Peter walking on the water and how he lost focus when he took his eye off Jesus. And I felt as if, look, I understood that when I was on that boat, but I understood it more when God showed me that I was allowing different things to come in place of what used to be my prayer time. I was allowing things to come into place what used to be my one-on-one time with him. And because of that, even though I was spending time with the Lord, it wasn't giving me that overflow that I was used to. It wasn't giving me that more than enough, I feel the presence. I feel that. So when things happen, it didn't bother me as much. It didn't have the same effect because I was in the presence of the Lord on a continual basis throughout the day, right? And when I stopped doing those things, that's when I started realizing that something's not right. That's when I realized, it's wind going on around me. Even though I'm walking and traveling through this journey, it's so much going on around me and I'm so thrown off. And if you're at a place right now, my encouragement to you is to stay focused and spend some time with the Lord. And what are you placing before the Lord? And where are you headed? Do you understand where you're headed? And if you don't, it's okay. Spend some time with God and ask him, Lord, what are my instructions? What are my directions? And help me to see what I'm not seeing, God. And that's one of the things I needed to search my heart, God. Search my heart. Show me me. Yeah, that's something to think about. And when God reveals those things to you, right, you've got to be willing to work on those things. You've got to be willing. If you want change, you've got to start within. Change starts within. Change starts within you. And you must be willing to do whatever it is that you need to do to be who God created you to be and who God called you to be and to fulfill the purpose that he outlined for your life, y'all. I am so thankful. It's like I have one of them, revelation things, right? Just reading Peter and walking on the water and how easy it is for us to get so thrown off and how I was so thrown off because I was allowing so many other things to take place before the time that I was spending with the Lord, y'all. So I am so excited and so grateful that I am no longer at that place, right? I am no longer in that position and I thank God for it. But y'all, I use these examples and hope that it's a blessing to other people so that you may be at that place right now, but you can come out. You may be at a place to where you're not hearing from God or you're not receiving what you're praying and believing for. And it's okay. Seek the Lord. Don't give up on seeking the Lord. Don't give up on spending time with the Lord. Be careful what you're placing before him because he told us that he is a jealous God and we need to be careful at that. God is a jealous God. He reminds us of that in his word, right? So we need to be careful not to place anything before him because that is a clear way to throw us off focus, right? So learn how to filter your distractions, right? Some distractions are good. And then some distractions are to just throw you off focus. You've got to learn to identify the two or distinguish between the two. Let's say that. You've got to learn what's for you and what's against you. And that's by seeking the Lord and spending time with the Lord. So y'all stay focused. I say that so often. Stay focused and try not to pay attention to the storm that's going on around you or the circumstances that's going on around you. God is with you. You are not alone, but you got to go spend some time with him. Spend some one-on-one quality time. And I'm not just talking about 2 or 3 minutes and I'll give God what's left, right? I think I used this example in my book. Would you go to a restaurant and ask them for whatever they had left from the previous day? So you're basically getting leftovers, right? And so often that's what we give God. We give God our leftovers. God, I only have about a few minutes today and I'm going to give you those 5 minutes. And then it's probably around the time you're getting ready to go to sleep and you probably don't even give the whole 5 minutes. That's something to think about. But y'all, I am super, super excited. Stay focused and be encouraged and know that God is your source. He is the ultimate power source. You must allow him to be God and you must stay connected to the source. And when you you feel yourself drifting away, you've got to learn how to come back, bring it back in, reel it back in, come on back, right? So I am Miss Dee Dee here at the Filling Station, y'all. I am so grateful. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen today. And listen, I always like to leave you with this, right? It's not really what happens to you that matters. What really, really matters is how you respond to what has taken place, right? Because growth truly comes through how you respond to what has taken place. Y'all, until next time, be blessed as well as a blessing unto us.
Refresh, refuel, inspire, motivation. It's the Filling Station. Miss Dee Dee.